Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Spark Student Symposium. We're so glad you're here today as we celebrate student-led research, reflections, and action on basic needs across CSU campuses. Today's webinar will spotlight two amazing research projects by Spark teams from Chico State and Long Beach State. Over the next hour, you'll hear from student researchers, learn about their findings, and reflect with us on what we can do together to support student success. Today's agenda goes as follows. We will start off with introductions and then move into CEHE's overall background. Our first presenters will be Chico State, followed by Cal State Long Beach. We will have a Q&A segment and our closing, as well as a call to action. We would like to first acknowledge Kane Foundation and ECMC as the funders of this work. Their teams stepped in early before we even had the model developed, and we celebrate their willingness to take a chance on this venture. Before we dive into today's presentations, I'd like to introduce the CEHE team. We have Dr. Rashida Crutchfield, Executive Director, Yadira Maldonado, Associate Director, Spark Program Faculty Consultant, Jessica Wallen, and myself, Kenya McClone, Spark Coordinator.
Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. Again, my name is Rashida Crutchfield, and I'm honored to be the Executive Director for the Center for Equitable Higher Education, and really proud to be with all of you today to explore this amazing work. The Center for Equitable Higher Education is a research center on the campus of Cal State Long Beach, but focuses on higher education across the state of California and beyond. We provide support to universities and colleges across the nation. Our center really is focused on being a trusted source of actionable research and a catalyst of higher education systems to meet student basic needs to produce equitable outcomes. We, as a research center, do our work to ensure that the voices of students and practitioners are amplified as experts of their own experience. We develop research and evaluation on student basic needs in partnership with students, faculty, practitioners, and other leaders in the field in order to support those practitioners, policymakers, and other leaders, including students, as they meet student basic needs.
Thank you, Dr. Crutchfield. Hi, everyone. I'm Yadira Maldonado. I am the Associate Director of CEHE. Thank you all so much for being here today. And so I'm going to briefly talk about the Spark program, which was created and developed with CEHE's vision and mission in mind. At CEHE, our goal is always to continue pushing the basic needs movement forward, specifically through actionable research. And so we want our research to serve as evidence to make changes at all levels in higher education. And central to our work is amplifying the voices of students who are most impacted by basic needs insecurity. So in line with this commitment, we launched the Spark program just last year. It is a baby program, but we are super proud of this first year. Spark was intentionally designed to center student perspectives and support them in leading participatory action research, again, focused on college student basic needs. We see Spark as a catalyst, one that empowers students to shape advocacy, influence policy, and drive institutional change through the power of their research. And so Spark brings together teams made up of student researchers and their faculty or community-based organization leads. And so together they engage in three core program activities, those including skills, inquiry, and action. And so as part of the skills, students build their capacity as researchers through foundational trainings in basic needs and participatory action research, or PAR, and just general research methods. And so each team designs and conducts an original project that explores and investigates student basic needs issues. Students are the leaders of this project and are involved in the full research process, from designing research questions to designing data collection tools, recruitment, analysis, and finally sharing results, which is why we are all here today. And lastly, Spark supports students in translating their findings into actionable recommendations that can lead to lasting change. And so this year we had the privilege of partnering with students and faculty from Chico State University and Cal State Long Beach, who are here today to share not only their research projects, but also their experience in the Spark program. So I'm going to hand it over to Kenya.
Thank you. Next slide. Awesome. We are thrilled to start today's presentations with our Chico State Spark team. We have Dr. Stephanie Machado, faculty mentor, followed by 5 student researchers, Caroline White, Lotanna Onwuazombe, Carina Plechaty, Kubo, and Abbie Duval. Next slide. They will present on a slice of access, cooking without the basics. Turning it over to you, Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Machado. I'm just going to get the slides up for the students. All right. You guys are ready to go.
Good morning. My name is Carina Plechaty, and we'll be presenting on a slice of access, cooking without the basics, and I'm joined by my fellow interns.
Hey everyone, my name is Kubo.
I'm Caroline.
And I'm Abbie.
So our project centers around food insecurity. It's a serious and growing concern among college students, especially across the CSU system. In fact, about 44% of CSU students report struggling with food insecurity. Research also shows that students who face food insecurity tend to cook less frequently than their peers. While this gives us a picture of the problem, we still lack a clear understanding of the day-to-day challenges that prevent students from preparing or accessing nutritious meals. To address this gap, our team decided to look further, and we explored the specific barriers that students face when it comes to cooking and eating well. So we designed a meal kit program to help overcome these challenges. Our specific research questions involved what are the main barriers that prevent off-campus food insecure students from cooking and eating healthy food regularly? How do time constraints, mental health, and financial stress impact students' ability to cook or prepare meals? And can a meal kit intervention increase cooking frequency, reduce food insecurity, and improve cooking confidence? Our intervention was specifically tailored by going through our first round of interviews. An example of this is how many of the participants expressed that time was a major barrier for them. So to address that, we decided to deliver each kit to the participant's house. Each kit involved 2 recipes a week with 4 servings minimum, and it was over 6 weeks total. On the right, you can see an example of what was included in every single kit with the ingredients, directions, and a QR code with a demonstration video. And now I'm going to pass it off to Abbie to talk more about this.
So here we have our qualitative and quantitative data. We had 24 students enrolled to participate and took a baseline survey and an interview. We had 17 students participated in the follow-up interviews and 19 participated in the surveys at the conclusion of the program. And 4 interviews were conducted with Chico State administrators, and over 240 meals were delivered to the participants. So here we have our demographic data. We had 24 participants in our program and 3 dropped out. For our ethnicity distribution, we had 29% Latinx, 38% white, and 33% other. And some of that data continued. So we had 75% of our participants who did not have dependents living with them, and 25% who did have dependents living with them. And on the right here, we have the age statistics of our participants. So the average age was about 27, the minimum age was 21, and the maximum age was 25, or 45, sorry. And then I'll pass it to Caroline.
So the common barriers that we saw from participants included lack of time, lack of cooking knowledge, mental health, expenses, and lack of cooking utensils. So for the lack of time barrier, as Carina said, we decided to deliver meals directly to students' doors. For lack of cooking knowledge, we addressed this issue by selecting beginner-friendly recipes that had ingredients such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein. We also provided easy to follow instructions and demonstration videos where we recorded ourselves preparing and cooking the meals to show the participants in case there was any confusion. And for mental health, we selected simple meals for the meal kits that took little to no prep time, so it wasn't as overwhelming for them. And we also pre-portioned all recipe ingredients to make the cooking process easier for them overall. And for expenses, we addressed this by providing our meal kit ingredients to students free of charge. We also tried to tailor recipes to students' dietary needs mentioned in the interviews. And then lastly, we saw the lack of cooking tools were also barriers to cooking during our baseline interviews. So to address this, we provided these tools such as vegetable peelers, frying pans, and can openers to those that said they needed them free of charge as well. And I'm going to pass it back to Abbie.
So here we have our meal kit usage, and the average recipes prepared from our program was about 7 recipes. The minimum was 4, and the maximum was all 12 recipes, and that was 84% of the participants that were satisfied. And on the right, we have a few quotes from our participants. They said it's really come in handy, and it makes cooking less of a hassle, and it reminds me of 5-minute meals, just really simple and time convenient. And I'll pass it to Ku.
So with our results, at the start of the program, 89% of students reported being food insecure. By the end, that dropped to 58%, which shows real progress. And this is more than just numbers. It means students were less worried about where their next meal would come from. Several shared that getting the meal kits gave them peace of mind, especially when they were low on money or too busy to grocery shop. We also saw positive changes in cooking behavior. At first, 16% of students said they did not cook at all. That dropped to 11% by the end. It might not sound dramatic, but it reflects a meaningful shift. For students who are used to grabbing fast food or skipping meals, just starting to cook once a week is a big step. The meal kits made that easier by providing recipes and pre-portioned ingredients, removing the need to plan or shop ahead. Overall, this shows that a consistent, low-barrier program like this can give students not just food, but the structure and support to feel more capable in the kitchen. Now I'm going to pass it back to Caroline.
So cooking behavior refers to how often our participants prepared food at home, what types of meals they typically cook, and their attitudes towards the process. We had many participants express that the meal kit program was beneficial in helping them avoid overthinking about meals, saving time when it comes to cooking, and overall making time feel more manageable for them. A quote from an actual participant said, "It helped me with not overthinking about what I want to eat. I was able to save money because I did not even have to grocery shop like that." This shows the impact that the meal kits had on easing the mental load around meal planning while also supporting participants financially and helped make home cooking more accessible and sustainable. Cooking confidence refers to our participants' belief in their ability to prepare meals. This includes things like knowing how to follow a recipe, using kitchen tools safely, and experimenting with new ingredients. So to begin, we had 95% of participants say that they were confident using basic cooking techniques, so we already had a great start with confidence with no significant difference post-interview. And 58% said that they felt confident cooking healthy meals on a budget overall. And another quote from one of our participants said, "The new ingredients that I would never go out of my way to purchase, like I said, getting able to try that yeast stuff, that was really cool and something maybe I would potentially purchase in the future." And so this highlights a participant's personal improvement of confidence in this area with using new ingredients and being confident enough to explore new meals. And I'm going to pass it back to Ku.
With interpretations of finding and their significance, the most noticeable improvement were in food security and cooking behavior. While many students already had some cooking knowledge, they faced other challenges like long work hours, fatigue, or simply not having what they needed at home to make a meal. The meal kits helped by giving them everything in one bag: ingredients, instructions, and even kitchen tools, which removed all of the guesswork and stress. Even though the survey didn't show a large jump in cooking confidence, the interviews added more depth. Students told us they felt more motivated to cook, they tried new foods, and some even began meal prepping or combining meal kit ingredients with what they already had. They described cooking as becoming more approachable, less intimidating, and even fun. So even when numbers seemed flat in some areas, the lived experiences showed real change. Students became more consistent in the kitchen, try new recipes, and starting seeing themselves as capable cooks. And that's a powerful outcome for a short program. So for recommendations and opportunities for actions, to reflect on what I've learned, I want to focus on my understanding of student basic needs has evolved and how this experience has changed the way I view research. At the start, I understood basic needs mostly in terms of food insecurity or financial hardships. But through our interviews and survey data, I began to see how layered and interconnected those needs are. It's not just about whether students have enough food, but whether they have a place to cook, time to prepare meals, and the confidence to do so. I saw how stress from juggling work, classes, and lack of access to a kitchen affects not just nutrition, but a student's overall abilities to function academically and emotionally. And being part of the Spark program showed me that meaningful research takes more than just collecting data. It takes coordination, time, and strong commitment to collaboration. Throughout this project, we were involved in every step from developing interview questions, creating surveys, to assembling and delivering meal kits. We partnered with Basic Needs to help with food procurement and participants, and with AS Dining to access a certified kitchen, which allowed us to prepare meals in a safe and approved environment. Interviewing students, scheduling times that work for them, and following up required persistence and organization. All these moving parts taught me that research is a hands-on collaborative process that goes beyond academics. It involves building relationships, adapting plans, and staying committed to a shared goal that directly impacts the community.
And then for number 3, for myself personally, I feel like I have learned that I'm more capable than I give myself credit for. Whether it was managing my responsibilities or pushing through challenges, I realized through this experience with the Spark program that I can adapt and learn quickly when something really matters to me. Professionally, I gained more confidence in my ability to contribute to a team and take initiative. Academically, I've learned how to apply classroom concepts I've learned from the public health program at Chico State to real-world situations, which has made my learning feel much more meaningful. And the most meaningful part of this experience to me was the chance to give back to the community. Being able to directly support others and see the impact of our work reminded me why I chose this field in the first place. It's one thing to talk about helping people, but it's another to actually do it. And that feeling of connection and purpose is something that I know will continue to stay with me even after my time with this project has ended and motivate me to continue work that makes a difference. And then if Abbie wants to answer the last 2.
Yeah. So what surprised me most was how much positive feedback we got from this project. In the beginning, we weren't really sure how it would go since we were a new program, but with the help of our amazing campus, our faculty, and basic needs department, we were able to gain a lot of support and make a huge impact on our own campus and watch this program thrive. And we also got great feedback from our participants, and they were really grateful, and it made our experience as a team much more rewarding. And for the last one, some advice I would give other Spark teams starting their project would be to not lose sight of their main goal, which for our case, it was our students. And I would say to stay true to what they want to gain out of the project, because it's easy to lose sight of that once you put the logistics into play. But if you keep reminding yourself about the bigger picture, it can be successful. And there are going to be difficult times throughout every project, but leaning into your team members can take you far and help you guys figure out all of the issues.
And Ku, did you want to talk about next steps and opportunities for action?
Yes. So going back to the recommendations for and opportunities for action, we believe this program has a strong potential and can continue to grow. So the pilot showed that meal kits can play a key role in addressing food insecurity, especially when they are designed around student needs. Now that we have built the model, the next rounds could run more smoothly with fewer staff hours and clearer workflows. So looking forward, building more partnerships can make the program stronger and more sustainable. So for example, student clubs or interns could help with distribution or outreach. High school students doing service hours could assist with prep or packing. And these kind of collaborations can bring a new energy or help reach more students. We also heard suggestions from AS Dining about improving leftover alerts, which could help prevent food waste and get more food to people. Connecting with local food banks or nearby campuses like Butte College could help stretch resources and expands the program's reach. And lastly, we recommend adding basic cooking or nutrition sessions into first-year experience classes. That would help normalize cooking as a life skill early on and ensure that students have tools they can use after the program ends.
Awesome. Thank you so much to our Chico State team. Very impactful and meaningful research. Great job to you all. Now we'll hear from our colleagues at Cal State Long Beach. Introducing Dr. Judy Ju, who is our faculty mentor, followed by 5 student researchers, Danny Bayon-Gill, Andrea Barahona, Olivia Amalfitano, Stephanie Perez-Martinez, and Chris Trong. They will be presenting from Needs to Action, supporting CSULB undergraduates. With that, we'll hand it over to you, Dr. Judy.
Thank you, Kenya. Let me just pull up the slides and then our students can go ahead and get started. All right, so I'll turn it over to Abbie.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for coming to our presentation today. We're thrilled to present to you all our findings from Needs to Action, supporting CSULB undergraduates. So we chose this topic to better understand how basic needs challenges like food and housing insecurities affect students' abilities to succeed in college beyond just academics. Conversations with CSULB leaders and our review of the literature showed us that when basic needs aren't met, students often struggle with focus, mental health, and staying in school. Our project explores 2 main areas. First, how different types of social support, such as family, friends, and campus resources, shape students' basic needs experiences. And secondly, how socioeconomic factors impact access to those resources. Our goal is to uplift student voices and offer equity-minded recommendations for improving support on CSULB. Presenting today will be myself, Andrea, Chris, Danny, Olivia, and Stephanie. And we want to take a quick moment just to acknowledge those individuals who helped us along the way. Dr. Judy Joe, Associate Professor and Principal Investigator, Kenya McClone, MPH, Spark Program Coordinator at CEHE, Yadira Maldonado, MSW Associate Director at CEHE, Jessica Woolen, MPH, MCRP Faculty Lead Research and Impact at CEHE, and Faculty Consultant for the Spark Program. And lastly, Dr. Rashida Crutchfield, Executive Director of CEHE and Professor in the School of Social Work. This project would not have been possible without the support, encouragement, and expertise of these incredible mentors. Today, we will be going over the background, methodology, findings, recommendations, and student experiences. For the background, we explored how basic needs and social supports are connected in college students' lives. Research shows that peer and family support can improve mental health, academic success, and help students navigate basic needs challenges. While social support can be a protective factor, few studies examine how it interacts with basic needs among college students.
As previously mentioned in the background, there were 4 major themes that we wanted to revolve around the topic of social support. So these were the 4 types of social support that we decided to focus on. The first one was peer support. The second one was family support. The third one was institutional support. And then the fourth one was the special populations, since Cal State Long Beach does tend to admit not a lot of non-traditional students. And then for our methodology, we did decide to conduct an online survey using Qualtrics to both analyze quantitative and qualitative data, as Cal State Long Beach is a predominantly commuter school. This survey did include various questions ranging from demographics, their access to basic needs revolving around food and housing, family and peer institutional support, their mental and physical health, academic performance. The survey was administered from March to April, and then the participants were recruited to multi-stage sampling by emailing various departments, both academic and student services. And then our final sample size was about 280 Cal State Long Beach undergraduate students.
So our findings, quantitative analysis of our data found that CSULB students' experiences, use, and awareness of basic needs services were associated with peer, family, and institutional support. Our qualitative data, the findings supported that, with students reporting that support from campus faculty, professors, peers, and friends did impact whether or not they utilize the basic needs resources available at CSULB.
So for theme 1, Stephanie and I examined the connection between food insecurity and student well-being at CSULB. with a focus on loneliness and sense of belonging. Students experiencing food insecurity reported significantly higher levels of loneliness and were over 4 times less likely to feel a strong sense of belonging compared to their food secure peers. These findings highlight that food insecurity impacts students not only by limiting access to basic needs, but also by contributing to social isolation and reduced connections to the campus community. So for our food security was measured using the 6-item USDA food insecurity scale, with the food insecurity category including students with low and very low food security. Figure 1 shows that more than half of students are food insecure, while 45.8% are food secure. And there was also a statistically significant association between food security and a sense of belonging. As seen in Figure 2, it gives us a visual of students who were food secure that were 4 times more likely to report feeling a sense of belonging compared to those who were food insecure.
And then our qualitative results are very similar to our quantitative results. So Cal State Long Beach students did identify their peers as a major source of social support. As you can see here with the quotes that we identified, a lot of them mentioned sharing food or cooking meals together with their peers as one of the ways that they're able to access food or as well as housing.
As was mentioned, we wanted to explore the theme of family support and how that might impact students' food insecurity on campus. And we did that by investigating if students lived alone or live with other students, if that impacted their food insecurity rates. And we did find that students who lived alone or with other CSULB students were significantly less likely to experience food insecurity. And while students did describe an important role that their families play, many students recognize that they did not have access to family support that may otherwise increase their levels of food security. And we found that these findings indicated that there was an opportunity for family support or increased family to support student basic needs.
So this graph highlights our results. They show the percentage of students that were food secure versus food insecure based on living situation. And we found a significantly higher percentage of food secure students among students that live alone or with one other CSULB student, as you can see in the graph. And it was not significantly associated food security with living at least one parent, but there was a higher rate of food insecurity among these students that we found very interesting.
And so our qualitative results really supported what we found in our quantitative data that CSULB students indicated that family support was positively impacting their ability to access food and housing. So students that did report having that support, it showed that they really found it pivotal to their success at the campus. Parents either were giving them all of the resources they needed. I think this last quote is very important. It says, "I would be in survival mode without my family." I think that we know how impactful family support is, but it was really well reflected in our qualitative data. And Olivia found some other information about our students.
Yeah, so despite having a lot of students thankful for having family support, there were a lot of students that did not have any family support, that were financially independent, or even stated that they just did not want to take resources away from their families. One student even said that their parents do not have enough resources to sustain their living expenses, which has caused them to have to rely on themselves and become financially independent.
Stephanie and I wanted to explore how institutional support impacted use of basic needs. And we did this through exploring the relationship between CSULB students' housing situation and where they, how the distance they live from campus. And we categorized the distance that students live from campus into 4 groups. And we found that CSULB students who live 3 to 10 miles, 11 to 20 miles, or 21 miles or more were more likely to use financial literacy education, emergency grants, and meals assistance services. However, distance from campus was not significantly associated with the use of other resources like the Beach Pantry Rapid Rehousing, Beach Bites mobile app, CalFresh Grocery Assistance Program, and emergency housing.
And then our demographics of this specific question also show this. So the main basic needs resource that was used on campus by students was the beach pantry, as you can see on figure number 3, followed by other food-related sources such as the Beach Bites mobile app, as well as the Meals Assistance and CalFresh Grocery Assistance Program. And then on the figure 4, you can see that, as Danny previously mentioned, majority of our students are commuter students, but they do tend to fall within the 3 to 10 miles or 11 to 20 miles group specifically. And then as well, so students who lived from 3 or more miles away from campus were significantly less likely to use the Meals Assistance Program compared to students that lived on or within campus. The use of the assistance program was not significantly found to be for students that live with 1 to 2 miles from campus or those that lived on or within 1 mile of campus.
And our qualitative results did support the data that we found that students, they reported a positive experience with the support that we have at Cal State Long Beach. The services like Basic Needs Program and Beach Pantry and Emergency Housing were mentioned a lot and in our qualitative data. And students also mentioned that professors and advisors were big connectors to basic needs resources on campus, and that was really a source of how they found out about a lot of our basic needs services that we have available was through campus support and professors.
So Chris and I looked at special populations. So we explored basic needs resource usage and the barriers for not using resources based on age group. We looked at age groups 18 to 23, more traditional age students, 24 to 28, and then 29 plus for more non-traditional students. And we found food resources like the beach pantry to be used commonly across all students, but we were actually surprised to see that more non-traditional students were more likely to use more formal programs like CalFresh, and they also were more likely to use housing and financial resources. The strongest barriers for not using resources was lack of awareness and lack of perceived need, whereas more traditional age students reported not needing the resources, where non-traditional age students were more likely to be unaware of them. So this graph shows the distribution of resource usage by age group. And as you can see, Beach Pantry is used by all the age groups. But then you look at Meals Assistance, CalFresh, the Rapid Rehousing, Emergency Housing, Emergency Grant. And that's where you see there's more non-traditional students utilizing the resources and a very small percentage of 18 to 23 age students using these resources. We found that students aged 24 to 28 were more likely to use significantly more likely to use food-related resources and housing-related resources, as well as ages 29 plus. And there was no significant association between age group and using of financial resources.
So when it came to barriers and reasons for non-use, we found main differences when it came to the non-use of housing financial resources among the different age students. So for housing resources, we saw a huge reason being a lack of perceived need, as you can see on the graph here, compared to the older non-traditional students who were more having more issues over these resources not being able to meet their needs, as well as the stigma of use, being seen among their peers and what they would think. In terms of financial resources, we saw the same thing with our younger traditional university students, once again seeing kind of a lack of perceived need of these resources, whereas our older students, we saw a huge lack of awareness, not knowing about these programs, not knowing how to navigate, and not knowing whether they qualify. And also, we also saw a lack of, perceived effectiveness of these resources helping, their specific needs during their, specific hardships. Next slide. And then when on the qualitative side, we did see these common themes that did back up what we saw with our quantitative results. We did see, again, barriers of lack of awareness, issues of eligibility and qualifications and navigating that, as well as a need for resources beyond emergency situations, as a lot of the students on campus are still facing hardships, even though they may not be in dire situations. As well as we can see here with one student noting they did have assistance with CalFresh. However, when they were unemployed, there's issues, getting qualifying for that and navigating that, as well as, despite, not being an emergency, they still need resources as they are still in need. We also see in terms of awareness, one student noting that there's a lot of room for awareness in terms of programs on campus, as well as awareness how to navigate and awareness of do I qualify, and making sure that all students of all ages are able to get this information as well. We also saw a huge positive experience with our food-related resources on campus, which was really nice, as we saw with the use of Beach Pantry and Cal Fresh and meals assistance programs available. However, there is a still huge concern over a lack of housing, specifically among students who are beyond the first year. A lot of students found issues navigating finding off-campus housing or finding affordable housing, as we can see here with some of our students having pretty extreme experiences. With one student here saying she had a friend or a coworker that had to move back to Texas because she couldn't find reasonable accommodations close to campus, which is pretty insane to think about. We also saw other subpopulations within our survey that did express certain needs that weren't being met, specifically older students, as we saw with the non-traditional students, a lack of awareness, lack of specific programs that tailor to their specific needs, as they are either returners coming back to school, or transfers that may not fit the traditional younger student mold, where they're not too versed in navigating basic needs. We also saw issues with international students, as we can see with one student saying, once again, housing, with international students finding issues navigating that market as well, and students who work full-time and unhoused students facing needs as well.
Everyone on our team recommended solutions or pathways based on the data was collected, whether it was targeted communication campaigns, making smaller changes for big impact, maybe not reinventing the wheel, increasing our community and campus partnerships, and also to address some limitations with our research by increasing support based, like evidence-based practice. So we recognize that we got a snapshot of the problem at Cal State Long Beach, or the issues. So we, as a recommendation to address that limitation, more research. We also felt that we found that there was a lot of qualitative support, reflecting how important family support was, while also recognizing our data pointing to only 25% of our students at Cal State Long Beach living with at least one parent. And so a recommendation is that while we have many campus programs, they maybe aren't as integrated or built for long-term campus connection that could serve as a support system for students. So rebuilding our beach family, we recommend that we could create cohorts or pods of students from diverse backgrounds that will move with the students over time. I know as an MPH student, our cohort was invaluable, and I think that every student probably deserves that experience of that built beach family. And then lastly, I think that we found that obviously people that are getting support from their families benefit from that. However, families and parents may underestimate the impact that they still have on their students at this time and transition, and that increasing the support as much as possible for their student and providing parents with education about the value in the support will really help their students in the long run in their academic career at Cal State Long Beach.
And lastly, we just wanted to share a few of our experiences being part of the Spark program. For myself, I thought it was a new adventure for me. Being part of a student research program was a new and challenging experience. It really pushed me out of my comfort zone and gave me the opportunity to just apply everything that I learned during my MPH program to a real world setting, an opportunity that I might have not have gotten if I wasn't part of this group, which was really amazing. I definitely just being able to work with my former colleagues in the MPH program and just being able to pick their brains and get ideas from them was also really great. And then just being able to dive into the qualitative research world, something that we weren't able to do much as students, but being able to put this into practice, creating a coding manual from scratch was really cool. And just being able to use SPSP outside of a classroom setting was actually really nice and made me appreciate what I've been learning just even more.
I agree with so much of what Andrea said. It's been such a pleasure to work with her outside of our MPH learning. But I put connector as kind of a word that comes to mind. I think that doing this project from scratch just reminded us about how collaborative a campus environment is and how much we needed to connect with so many partners that even extend beyond what we would maybe consider basic needs. And then also, the research reminded us about the strengths, I think, that we have at our campus. And sometimes I believe we focus on novel ideas, but maybe we can focus on novel pathways and really connecting the strengths that we have as community. And as we saw, like Beach Pantry was so highly valued. And so I learned a lot about just the reminder of relying on the strengths of community and connecting existing practices and things that are working.
For me, I chose expanding horizons. This experience was a lot about expanding my knowledge and expanding a lot of things in terms of myself. Coming into the MPH as a first year, I didn't really have too much experience with research. So this was definitely my first intro to all of that, especially something with involving qualitative research, which I've never done before. So I was expanding that and also expanding my views on basic needs, kind of similar with the Chico team and other students on my team. I had a certain view of what basic needs was, and then hearing student experiences, doing all the research, lit review, and putting together this project to kind of figure out what basic needs is really helped me learn, what kind of needs are out there, and it's not super limited. And also in terms of expanding, in terms of the programs, like we all saw that we have effective programs at Cal State Long Beach, but there's always room to grow and expand beyond that. And also expanding, my comfort zone, meeting this wonderful team, working with people that I didn't really know, and now, seeing how amazing work they are able to do in their skills, and especially helping me out. Because I know I did face, times where we were busy, but we all helped each other out. And I'm really grateful for my team to, we were able to pick each other up.
For myself, I put investigator as like both Andrea and Danny shared, since we're in the same MPH cohort. A lot of conversations revolving basic needs came out in our cohort, since we would have class very late and sometimes we wouldn't have a chance to go get food or things of those sorts. So being a part of a project where from beginning to end, we're coming up with the research questions, what exactly are we looking into, coming up with a code book, for example, and what type of questions we want to ask, and seeing if other students as well feel the same way as we do was something that reignited my passion for research. And it is something that I hope to continue, hopefully into a PhD program in the future. But being a part of this project made me realize and appreciate how much campus services exist and how sometimes they are underutilized because students just aren't able to reach them or they just don't know of them. So throughout this project, even just a promotion of basic needs, I've hoped students are more knowledgeable and being able to access other parts of it that they probably didn't know beyond even just food resources.
Like Chris, coming from a first year MPH student, I came straight from undergrad. I didn't really have a lot of experience in public health. So the Spark program really helped me find my love for research in public health. It helped me learn what areas of public health research really interest me. It has almost allowed me to discover what I want to do in the future with my MPH degree and as a public health professional. So I'm really grateful for having this experience.
And these are references, and we just want to thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions, please feel free to email Dr. Drew.
Thank you so much. A round of applause to each and every one of you. Excellent presentation. And I always love to hear about your student experience and how you've grown from the beginning to the culminating experience now at this point in time. So thank you to both teams for such thoughtful and well-executed presentations. We will now open the floor for a Q&A segment. So feel free to raise your hand, put your questions in the chat, or if you have any feedback or reflections you'd like to share, we welcome that at this time. Okay, Linda Garcia asked, what was the cost of the meal kit program?
Yeah, I can answer that. I think in terms of ingredients for the 6 weeks for the 24 students, it was roughly $3,000, and that includes all of the packaging that we needed to buy and the cooking utensils that we bought people. So probably $2,000 in food and then $1,000 in the cooking utensils and supplies. I'll say too, we did source our food through our food pantry on campus. So we were able to get food, a lot of our ingredients at a lower price. And then the rest of the food that we couldn't get through them, we purchased at a grocery store.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. I have a question to both teams. How would you, or what would be your next step if you had more time and resources?
The Cal State Long Beach that if we had more time, as mentioned by Danny, this was more of a snapshot of what was going on campus. If we had more time, we would definitely open this up into a more longitudinal follow-up so we can kind of hopefully if changes are made, we can kind of see how students are feeling. We can also see like longer term trends in terms of maybe use as well as maybe specific reasons of non-use as well, and just make better causal associations between specific factors, preventing students from getting basic needs or getting access to the programs we have on campus.
For me, I would say if we had more time, I would definitely expand the program a lot longer. There was a lot of interest from our participants, and a lot of them didn't tell us that they would love to see a program like this again. And so definitely expanding the program longer and maybe including more hands-on workshop or short cooking lessons to build skills and confidence as well, especially for those who are new to cooking. And then lastly, following up with students months later, see if it made changes over time.
Awesome. Thank you, Kubo and Chris. For the Chico State team, if you could do it again, is there anything you would change or do differently in how the program was run or delivered?
I'll let the students jump in first. See if you guys have any thoughts.
Did someone want to jump in before I go again? So if there was something I would change, I would say I would get more people to more collaboration, definitely more collaboration. It helped a lot that we were able to work with our basic needs and AS studying as well. But I did notice that there were a lot of other programs, amazing programs on campus throughout the interviews with staff interviews as well. And noticing that there was a lot of resources on campus that we could have utilized as well. So utilizing all our campus resources definitely would have made it a lot more smoother and could have had more reach out to students as well.
And I would say if we could have done this again, I might have checked recipes with students. And once we knew what our participant cohort was, running the recipes by them to see if they were something that they'd be interested in. I think that would be something that would have been great. And beyond that, I think there's just some small pieces that students told us would have been helpful. So thinking about when you pack ice on cheese and then you give it to someone, then the ice might melt and then kind of bleed into the recipes and then you can't read the recipes. So we learned some like small practical things that would be really helpful to do differently next time.
I just wanted to chime in on behalf of CSULB from maybe before the previous question. And then also I was looking at Dr. Rashida's questions in the chat. So Dr. Rashida mentioned something about support as a basic need and how we might need to kind of expand our point of view about basic needs resources. As someone who, when I was much younger, I'm a non-traditional student, I'm an older student. I left school because I lost a parent and I did not have anyone reaching out or checking in or making sure I was good. And it really did impact the pathway, that my educational pathway to me coming back to school much later. It all worked out and we're here and graduated. But I do think that we underestimate the value of kind of like the web of services and how, like I had mentioned about like the community. And I think that, so in response to the second question as a systems change, I think that we saw in our research how impactful the syllabus statements were about like that are part of our syllabus about the basic needs that are available on campus. I think that even though that's kind of said, not every professor addresses them in the same way. So I think that maybe taking it a step further as far as like having speakers come to class, kind of like, you know, high school days, but that I think that that would be really to connect a face and a person to these things that are in a syllabus, and also kind of can impact and improve awareness of the services for the professors, so they're also more comfortable with suggesting resources for students. So those are a couple of things that I think were supported with our research.
Awesome. Thank you all for your feedback. All right, we have quite a few questions, and thank you, Andrea, for answering some of those. Let's see. From Jessica Wallen, for both teams, how do you think it impacted the research that you were students conducting the study? Did it have an impact on the participants and what they shared with you?
I can say a little bit on this. I think it definitely impacted positively because they were our peers, and also like food insecurity is something that college, like some college students go to. I know I have gone through it myself, and like to see that through like your peers and someone who's helped like trying to like through study in a way to help others, and like they know that you're like, I don't know, level kind of thing. It's not just like they know you're going through the same situation, if that makes any sense. So it's like, I don't know.
Just to add on to what Caroline was saying, I think it made it a lot more personable for our program and less intimidating for our participants because they weren't necessarily scared to tell us like the actual truth and lie during our interviews and surveys and all that. So I think it made our data a lot more truthful. Not that they were lying, but just like they were actually telling us their struggles and weren't afraid to. So
Similar on our end, I felt like this being student led, it made all students feel more comfortable to share more and be more raw and also be more critical. I know we had a couple responses where people were just going in and just being really honest about, you know, the situation on campus. And I feel like that they're able to kind of let down that barrier and kind of unload because this was student led. And it was kind of a what we're seeing with like we're meeting people where they're as students. So again, they were just giving us the full perspective and not being as filtered, so to speak. So we got really good uh positive and negative, you know, views of things that will definitely help with, you know, improving the program we have on campus.
So as a student, I also got to interview our Chico State president and another admin as well. So it was nice to actually just be a student and hear from someone on the higher level, and then really get that perspective from someone different as well. So I feel like as if I wasn't a student, it would be pretty different. But as a student at Chico State myself, hearing the honest answers from the Chico State president really made a big difference.
Thank you all. And with 1 minute to spare, Rashida asks, how might AI help to advance additional support similar to that of which you provided in the first study?
I would say I've seen a lot of those robots that deliver food. Maybe we can definitely invest in a robot that delivers food. So that would be pretty cool. And then over in San Francisco, I know there's a lot of Waymos that do a lot of deliveries too. So maybe delivering food kits could be a lot easier with AI.
I think that's a great idea. I still have yet to order from that robot, but I think that's super crucial. Thank you all so much. We will go ahead and share our slides once more. And if you have any additional questions or any follow-up items, feel free to connect with myself or anyone from the CEHE team, and our contact information will be on the next couple of slides. We want to send a special thank you to Dr. Stephanie Machado and Judy Ju for your dedication and unwavering support throughout this entire process. So kudos to you both, and I'll pass it to Jessica.
Thank you all so much for your fantastic presentations. It was really inspiring and so great to see this whole process play out over the year and see where we've landed today. As we've highlighted in today's presentation, SPARK is a program that's focus is on building rigorous evidence, centering and amplifying student voices, and meaningfully informing policy and practice. We have funding for this program for this year and next year, and we continue to look for partners to ensure the long-term viability of this program. If anyone is interested in supporting this program moving forward, either with funding or with other kinds of support, we welcome your partnership. And if you are interested in that kind of role, please feel free to reach out to any one of us on the team, Kenya, Yadira, Rashida, or myself. And we would love to talk to you more about how we can work together to ensure students are leading the basic needs research movement. And with that, I'm going to pass it, I think, over to Kenya.
Awesome. Next. Yes, awesome. So you can follow us on social media for CEHE updates, and you can also visit our new and improved website to learn more about current and past projects. Slides will be made available on our website, as well as the video recording. And following this meeting, those items will also be emailed to you. So keep an eye out on those sites and those accounts for more of the amazing work that is to come.
All right. So thank you all again so much for being here today and for helping make the symposium such a powerful and meaningful space. I want to take a moment to just honor the insight, the creativity, and the expertise each student researcher brought, not only to their research, but to the heart of this event. What we saw today was a reminder that students are not just learners, right? They are leaders, innovators, and trailblazers. Their projects today addressed issues facing our higher education and student communities and grounded in a commitment to justice. And so we're incredibly grateful to our SPARK faculty mentors, Dr. Stephanie Machado and Dr. Judy Jo, who supported their students every step of the way. Special thanks to Jessica Wolin, whose visionary thinking sparked the idea of the SPARK program, and to Kenya, our program coordinator, amazing program coordinator. You've been instrumental in keeping this work moving forward with such thoughtfulness and care. To our campus communities, funders, and supporters, thank you so much for believing in the power of student-led research and for helping create spaces where student voices are truly heard and valued. We're also very thrilled to announce our new partners for the upcoming year, Dr. Ryan Gamba at Cal State East Bay and Fahad Qureshi at Youth Leadership Institute in California Central Valley. We look forward to collaborating with you and your students and seeing the impactful research projects your leadership will help bring to life. And so as we close, we hope this isn't the end of the conversation, but the beginning of new collaborations, deeper listening, and more spaces where student voices are centered. And so I'll leave you with these words from Paulo Freire. Knowledge emerges only through invention and reinvention, through the restless, impatient, continuing, hopeful inquiry human beings pursue in the world, with the world, and with each other. So thank you all again for being here. We hope to see you next year as we celebrate another powerful cohort of SPARK student researchers. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.